And joining me now to discuss is Michael Knowles, host of the Michael Knowles Show. Michael, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. A lot to get to, but first off, I want to get your thoughts on what President Biden had to say today.
I thought it was feckless and incoherent. I won't mince my words. I think the president's policy here has been a catastrophe. I think President Joe Biden bears actually quite a lot of responsibility for what we're seeing play out in Ukraine right now. We have known for 20 years that Vladimir Putin wants to recreate the Soviet Union. Putin has said that the collapse of the Soviet Union was the single greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century. And there were a lot of geopolitical catastrophes in the 20th century. During the George W. Bush administration, Putin tried to take the country of Georgia, and Bush rebuffed him. During the Obama administration, Putin invaded Ukraine, invaded Crimea. Obama didn't really do anything about it, so Putin kept Crimea. During the Trump administration, Vladimir Putin, didn't do much of anything. He sort of kept everything the way that it was and maintained the status quo. Now, under Joe Biden, he has invaded the entire country and taken Kiev. Why is that? It's because of very specific decisions. It's not merely that he liked the cut of Donald Trump's jib or something like that. It's because Donald Trump, at the encouragement of Senator Ted Cruz, imposed very difficult sanctions on Vladimir Putin, specifically with regard to a pipeline, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, that would have cut Ukraine out of the process of getting energy from Russia to Europe, would have gone directly to Europe, would have taken away all of Ukraine's leverage and given Vladimir Putin a welcome mat to go invade Ukraine. When President Trump imposed those sanctions, Putin stopped. Putin backed down. When Joe Biden got into office 4 days later, Putin began working on the pipeline again. President Biden removed those sanctions. Now, only now are we beginning to see a little bit of pushback on the pipeline and on the sanctions. But then literally, Joe Biden invited Vladimir Putin to invade the eastern part of Ukraine. He said if Putin invades all of Ukraine, that would cause a big problem. But if it were only a minor incursion, then that would basically be fine. As though to say, hey, crocodile, just eat one of my fingers, don't eat the entire hand. It's been a feckless policy. It's had tragic consequences. So now we have sanctions again. Wonderful. Too little, too late.
Yeah, Michael, I want to ask you, what's your biggest concern here when it comes to the situation that we see playing out right now?
Well, the fear here is that Vladimir Putin won't stop at Ukraine. So the claims made by Vladimir Putin, with a great deal of revisionist history, count Ukraine not as a sovereign nation, but as merely a part of Russia, of greater Russia. And Ukraine has been dominated by Russia for a lot of its history. But if Vladimir Putin really does want to recreate the Soviet Union, as he has said that he does, that means Poland is in trouble. That means the Baltics are in trouble. That means all of Eastern Europe is in trouble. And then you look back at home at America. Does America really want to go to war for Ukraine? Probably not. Does America really want to go to war when you look at what's going on in Taiwan right now? So President Biden's weakness, I hate to call him out, I don't want to sound partisan, but it is on his leadership that this has happened. The weakness in Afghanistan, the weakness now in Ukraine, is encouraging more aggression from China in Taiwan. Do Americans want to go to war for Taiwan? I don't think so. This could have been prevented. I suppose that's what's so tragic about all of this, is just a little bit of strength, a little bit of clarity, a little bit of resolve, a little bit of not rolling out the red carpet for America's enemies. You wouldn't have to deal with this now. But you could see this situation rapidly deteriorate far beyond Ukraine's borders.
Yeah, and so much more we can talk about, running out of time. But I want to talk about your book before we finish this interview. It's called Speechless. Tell us why you decided to write it and how you think political correctness is impacting political discourse in the U.S.
Sure, there actually is a tie-in, which is that political correctness is a product of Marxism. It's a product of Marxist and communist thinkers who developed this in the United States largely throughout the 20th century, and it helped to reshape our entire dialogue. It's very important because words carry whole premises. You see this in the way we talk about pronouns. If we refer to a man who thinks that he's a woman as a she, well, then surely she has the right to use the women's bathroom. She has the right to play on women's sport teams. So it totally transforms our politics. The way we use language will give us a revolution in our political order without us even necessarily being aware of it. And so it's very important, and we should do this all the time in our words, to let our yes be yes and our no mean no, to speak bluntly, to speak clearly with a great deal of charity, but always pursuing the truth and not trying to reorder the entire universe by changing our language.
Well, Michael, great to have you on. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.